I just wanted to add to that. I haven't seen the bill. It's on the House side. But what we have done over the last couple of years is with the state-owned casino money, that has been used, the money that came in from that has been used to help pay down some of the liability on capers. So I just wanted to let you know that the legislature is well aware of it and working on it.
Trying to watch my time before somebody gives me the hook. One of the questions that came up with, this has kind of been it's one of those issues where it affects so many county governments across the whole state. It affects every person who utilizes services at the Treasurer's Office and the Department of Revenue's motor vehicle system. So one of the questions came up in regards to the DMV modernization, and it said basically business owners always cringe whenever their IT provider sends them a quote-unquote upgrade. Recently, the state upgraded its computer system. To say the least, it didn't go very well. So the question was, what's being done to address the problems with the DMV?
You guys have heard me say before, I'm a software engineer and I'm in IT. I was home from Thanksgiving a couple years ago. My brother came up to me. He goes, "How do I get this contract that is $45 million and doesn't have to work?" I said, "Mike, I didn't have anything to do with it." But I know exactly what you're talking about. It's very frustrating, especially for somebody like me to watch. I don't think the bandwidth was tested from the state to the locations was part of the problem, but they've got other problems too. I know that it's not just the DMV problem, and that's not going to give you any comfort either. I asked for a legislative post audit for the Office of Information Systems and Technology. I had gone out and started to research. They were charging $42.50 a month per jack in the Capitol. That means each plug and outlet on the telephone and computers, and there's a bunch of them in the Capitol. And I thought, this is crazy, that kind of fee. And so I started looking into other stuff. Well, the audit came back, and it was more egregious than any of us could have imagined. They've got a $32 million budget and no oversight. They do not come through the appropriations process for the legislature. There's nobody looking at their budget. And so when we got the report back, part of it also said, in order for this department to save $28,000, they were moving funds around in their book. Well, the federal government, because some of their funding comes from the federal government, they weren't doing it properly. So we, Kansans, taxpayers, were fined $1.2 million as a result of that. And I think that would have just been shoved under the carpet. Nobody would have seen it if this report wouldn't have came out. The report went as far to say that the department charges what the employees feel the other agencies and departments should pay. And I should explain a little bit. There's a state statute on the book, and I hope to be able to address this next year with my colleagues. It requires other departments and all the departments and agencies in the state of Kansas to use the Office of Information Technology Services. So we've got a lot to do with our IT, and I know that doesn't address the DMV directly, but Jene has a good bill I'm hoping he'll talk about that maybe can help solve some of the problems. I'm sorry to move the picture on the spot. It is a good.
The DMV upgrades were started under the Sebelius administration. That ought to make everybody feel really good. We're talking about, our county treasurer's done a great job in trying to make this a smooth transition for Miami County. Much of the work that was done in the back office or in Topeka, they're now currently doing it at the front desk there at the Treasurer's office. So scanning the documents, making this electronic, and then sending an electronic package to Topeka, there's been some bumps along the way, but they have worked many, many hours trying to make sure that that happens and staying late and keeping things open. The DMV has extended hours in Johnson County as well, so some of the traffic that was up there that was coming down here has lessened just because of their extended hours of service. So I think we're seeing some things smooth out. One of the bills that was passed in 2012 deals with commercial vehicles, in that we're going from a property tax to a fee. And we pay property taxes for what's already taken place, and we pay the fees going forward. And so making sure when we transition, you have to have your property taxes paid on those vehicles, and I'm talking anything over 10,000 pounds used for commercial, used for commerce. Then you have to get the fee. Where if you're in Miami County, you either have to go to Topeka or you have to go to Anderson County to get that done. One of the things that came out on the letter, and we just went through our DOT process in the last couple of years at our company, and it's a painful process to go through. I would not recommend it to anyone unless you have to. On the front of the letter it says a law that was passed 2012, now you're required to have your DMV number and such. Well, the requirement for the DMV number started back in 2002, 2003 with some agreements from the federal government. What it made it look like is that we passed a law that now required the DOT numbers. So that's not the case. We're working through this. Hopefully it will, in the end, be a better system and not as expensive as property tax, but it's sure caused some problems out there.